Jai Hind and good afternoon, everybody. First of all, just let me clarify why I conceived this idea of having this lecturette series. The idea was that a continuous process, the learning is a continuous process, and our dean should be given the opportunity to speak in front of all deans, and then those who are attending this particular lecturette series, they go back to their particular department, and then same thing is conveyed there. So we all are on the same platform. The idea is whatever we are doing, generally it remains limited to deans or HOD, whatever we discuss here. But my idea is that it should percolate down to every level, right up to the assistant professor's level, and even tutor level, wherever we have. So that was the idea, and I thought I should start with this first, and I chose the topic communication, because communication is very, very important. Why I chose communication? Because I am very poor in communication. I generally don't speak much. I remain silent most of the time, and I observe things. And when I observe things, I make my own perception, and I make my own judgment. So when I said yes, when I do this, everybody does it whenever there is a communication. But let me just explain, or let me just discuss on what ground I make this perception, I make this judgment, and then finally act on those judgment. That is the one idea was. So I begin with Swami Vivekanand's quote: the true aim of education is to develop insight into the individuals so that they become able to search out and reach out and realize unity in diversity. And the prime aim of education is to manifest fullness of perfection already present in a child. It's very, very important. Manifest fullness of perfection already present in a child. Child means unless you are not illuminated, you remain child. You may be 60-year-old, you may be 50-year-old, but unless that light is not there in your mind, or that light is not shown, or you are not enlightened, you remain a child. I will come back what is child, what is adult. So that is what the idea about Swami Vivekanand. It is already existing. As per him, what is the knowledge, like spiritual knowledge, even this materialistic knowledge, it's already present there inside the human being. It is the role of the teacher who ignites the spark, and then knowledge manifests. And on that knowledge, I'll just give you one example what is the role teacher does. You have a small seed. What farmer does, that puts that seed into earth, waters it, and then wait for this to grow. He never does it बीच में खोल करके देख के अंकुरित हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, देखा कि नहीं हुआ. So he just leaves it, because that potential is there inside. The seed will grow on its own. You don't have to do anything. But you have nurtured that seed. You have watered that seed. You have given sunshine to that seed. You have given earth, soil to that seed. And that is the role of the teacher. You give all facilities, but you allow that seed to manifest into a big tree. Or in between, you don't interfere. You don't intervene. How the seed is sprouting, how the plant is growing, it allows. The same role of teacher is there. Now after this, the another quote is what the teacher is. The teacher can never truly teach unless he is learning himself. A lamp can never light another unless it continues to burn its own flame. It's important. Own flame means a teacher will have to keep burning its own flame. How? Teacher will keep on learning throughout life. Otherwise, he will never be a true teacher. The teacher who has come to an end of his subject, who has no living traffic with his knowledge, but merely repeats his lesson to his students, can only load their minds. He cannot quicken them. Truth must not only inform, but also must inspire. If the inspiration dies and information only accumulates, then truth loses its infinity. It's a wonderful quote, and we must really follow this and remember this quote. What is our role is as a teacher. Then only we'll become a role model as a teacher for our students. Now, coming directly to the mentoring system or mentor-mentee relationship. Teacher cannot understand student, or a student cannot understand teacher unless they have a relationship. And that relationship has to be developed. And that relation we call it mentor. There is already a relationship between teacher and student. There is already a relationship between a coach and a student. There is already a relationship between counselor and a student. But the mentor and mentee relationship combines all these properties of mentor, and then it becomes a mentor and mentee relationship. So you see, in nutshell, what mentor does, it's a resource person. He is an assessor. He is a learner himself. He is a collaborator. He is a teacher. He is a coach. He is a facilitator. He is an advocate. He is a problem solver. He is a trusted listener, and he is a counselor. All these qualities the mentor should have. If you want to mentor some student, you will have to develop these qualities in you. Then only you will become a true mentor. Now, what is the mentoring objective? Objective is fostering personal relationship. When I say personal relationship means it has a limitation, मर्यादा. उस मर्यादा के अंदर अपने पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप को रखना है. And that maryada you will have to define how deep relationship you develop with your student. That is, you have to decide, because there is a limit. You cannot go beyond that particular. So when I say fostering personal relationship, there is a condition in that. Enhance the academic development. This relationship is there for academic development. It is there for professional development of the mentee, and it is there for personal development. So you are working as a mentor, combining these three tasks with you. You have to develop the person who has come from higher secondary, just left school and joined university, has come out from the protection of his parents and come to you. He has come to you to learn something and to manifest his whatever the potential he has inside. You have to explore that potential, what the child has, and allow him to grow with that potential. So that is the mentor's job is. Okay? So in that you will have to develop all these qualities in you. What are the mentoring foundational principles? Foundational principle is communicate regularly. You will have to communicate with this student regularly. Not just today and weekly, after 1 week or monthly. No, you will have to communicate every day, or even many times in a day, if time permits. Second thing, praise and recommendation. These two things, very, very important. Any good work done must praise, because the child has come just from the childhood, he is entering in the teenagehood. All children, they need praise. So now he is coming there. You need to praise him. You just don't stop because he got praise from his parents. Now you praise him. Respect students. He will respect you only when you respect him. So please respect him as a student, as a colleague, I will say, in mentor-mentee relationship. Then assist in explaining the nuance of higher education. Now he joined higher education. Suppose he has joined engineering college. You will have to tell him what are the various nuances of joining engineering college as a BTech mechanical engineering, suppose. What all he can develop during higher education, what all required to be developed during higher education. It is not only the knowledge, skill and attitude. More than that, he has to develop soft skill. He has to develop personality. He has to build his personality. And then he has to face interviews and he has to become employable. He has to become bread earner. He has to support his family later on. So that kind of a counseling you have to give. Provide feedback on work that is both constructive and tight. Feedback is very, very important. If there is no feedback, you will never develop, you will never correct yourself. If feedback is one area, you must develop. But the feedback comes either the positive or the negative. You will have to work on both feedback to progress, to grow. This is the idea. Then encourage and support a student in risk-taking, mistake recovery, and networking with others. If any child commits or some kind of a mistake and he is ridiculed, that fellow will become shy and he'll become a rebel. So when child commits any mistake, he is not to be punished. He has to be told, counseled, and he has to be told, accept your mistake and learn to accept mistake and then not to commit the same mistake in future. That kind of a attitude you will have to develop in your mentee. Now, what is the outcome of the mentor-mentee relationship? It's a mutually beneficial to both of them. It's a mentor is also benefited and mentee is also benefited. Particularly, it happens in the corporate world, where the senior fellow is mentoring the junior fellow. So both are learning from each other. But in our education area, mentee is benefited, but you also be benefited in the large, because you learn many things. When you interact with him, you will learn many things from him. It's not that you have become an adult and he is a young, so you have become a mature. That is not the case. The child may be that boy may be much more mature than you are, emotionally, physically, maybe. You learn many things from him. So mentoring different from advising, coaching and teaching. There are three terminology. One is the mentoring, second is advising, third is a coaching, and fourth is a teaching. All are different. Advising means when some student needs some advice for a particular purpose. You give him advice and that remains for that period only, then it goes. Coaching. You coach a student in a particular skill, or he wants to join some competitive examination or something, you coach him in that particular examination, you prepare him. That's coaching. Teaching. You are teaching three things: cognitive skills, psychomotor skills, psychomotor domain, teaching, and you are teaching affective domain. So these three domains you are covering in teaching. Okay? So teaching, coaching, and these are different. Now this coming to three skills mentor can develop in their mentees. One is the communication skill. You should focus on developing his communication skill. Second is team-oriented skill. How as a group, how as a team you should work. You become a fruitful member of that particular team. How you develop that team skill or the sportsman skill, I can call it. And leadership skill finally. How you develop that leadership skill in a particular student to lead. And you can have the group thing like one mentor has 10 mentees. So some exercises can be carried out, some work is assigned and you identify the person who has the leadership quality and encourage him to lead that group. and later on you change other one. So everybody should be told about the leadership quality. Everybody should be encouraged in leadership quality. Okay. What are other skills? The communication, collaborations, critical thinking. It's a very, very important for the graduate, those who are joining us from higher secondary. How you do the critical thinking for about anything, whatever the task given to you or whatever job comes to you. So now requirement of mentee. What type of training do I require? Mentee will ask you this question, and you will have to encourage him, ask this question. What type of training do I require? What are my objectives? What skill do I need to develop? What are my strengths? What kind of a research or creative project will engage me? How much independent versus teamwork do I have to do? And what type of career do I need to pursue? All these questions, if your mentee is asking, you can rest assured that mentee is going to really give you a good, wonderful result later on if you mentor him properly, if the mentee is asking these questions. So you should address all these questions carefully, very diligently. Okay? Now coming to topic, the communication. What is communication? Communication is, this is an act of sharing or exchanging information, ideas of feeling. But this is a paradox. In the era of information age, there is a breakdown in communication. And breakdown in communication where? Between student and teacher. Why I'm saying so? Because our modern education is not catered for this kind of a thing. Like you see the old Indian Vedic education, it was a kind of a Guru Shishya Parampara, where the teacher was living 24 hours with the student living with the teacher 24 hours. So they were observing each and everything of the student, and whatever the mistake or whatever the problem or whatever the feelings the student has, he used to communicate with the teacher. What should I do in such situation? What do I do? Literature says this, our Puran says this, or the Veda says this, but what do we do? Then he will explain, the teacher will explain. This is the done. So that kind of a communication which was really existing 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago, which is missing in our modern type of education. Okay, so what is happening because of the gap appeared in the communication? We are getting a frustration. Students are dissatisfied. Rising number of grievances. You have seen in our university also, we have a number of grievances are rising. Loss of interest in study. Most of these students, since they are not properly guided, they are not counseled, they have no hope for employability, they have some different ideas, they get into some different other group, they lose interest in study. And employment opportunity is there, and then drop out. So the drop net galat hai. Drop out from higher studies, that they remove, they go out. After graduation, they don't pursue higher education. They don't go for PhD, or they look for a small job and they leave. So ultimate purpose of education is defeated. So that is the one. Then comes the process of education. The communication involves transfer and sharing of meanings. Meaning may be ideas, maybe images of thoughts, or expressed in symbols. Like WhatsApp पे हम करते रहते हैं ना, वो क्या क्या होते हैं उनको, ये वो सब करते रहते हैं अंगूठा, है ना. So this symbol, this is also informations. Okay, it is important to realize that messages have no meaning in themselves. Where is the meaning then? Messages do not have any meaning in themselves. Meaning is there in your mind. Who perceives it, who registers it, and then who interprets it, and then makes the judgment, and then makes the perception. So it is not the problem with the message. problem is the interpretation, problem with the receiver. How you understand receiver, how you understand sender, that's a very, very important part. I will come to that. Component of communication. We have 5 components. One is source. Like I am here speaking in front of you. I am speaking, and this is personal to personal interaction happening, and I am the source. Second is the receiver. All of you are receiver. Now when I am discussing in a group, I cannot judge who is perceiving how, what kind of impression, who is making what impression, I don't know that. But when I am speaking to an audience which has a large gathering, it is my duty to make it more generalized, to make it more interesting, so that everybody listens it, everybody understands it, and everybody registers it later on. Okay, so that is the receiver. The channel, the interpersonal communication, that is a channel, and there are so many channels will I have to know. The third comes message, is the idea that is communicated. It is the message, that is idea which is communicated. It can be piece of information, it can be kind of a support, it can be kind of a counseling message, it can be so many things. So message has lot many things. Fourth comes effect. How this message affect the receiver. That is a very, very important. And how does that effect can receivers the knowledge, it can change the receiver's knowledge. He has some fixed idea कि सड़क क्रॉस यदि बिल्ली करती है तो रुक जाना चाहिए. He has a fixed idea. आप उसको समझाते हैं, then you change. He changed this. No, it's all wrong thing, nothing. So he changed his knowledge. Then change in receiver's attitude. The purpose, it changes the receiver's attitude. Your message can change. And your message can change the receiver's action. So your message has got such a tremendous potential. It can change a human. You can transform a person whom you are mentoring. Feedback. It's a positive feedback and it's a negative feedback. It's a very important part of communication. Positive feedback reinforces you the idea that whatever we are doing, we are correct. And we go on, we progress on that idea. Negative feedback is, it gives you a chance to improve upon. So you improve upon that area. So you don't falter again. So that's a kind of a feedback you receive. And on that feedback, as you know, we have an action taken. How we improve upon our messages, like teaching. Teaching is also messages. How we improve upon that. That is the area. Now I'm coming to a very, very important aspect of communication. This is understanding of human interaction, TA, transaction, analysis. It's a very, very important. So to understand this, first we will have to understand the human being has a 3 ego state. One is the child ego state, another is the parent ego state, and third is the adult ego state. Okay? What is child ego state? I will just give you. Child is the kind of a thing who is the absolutely innocent, who is playful, who has got all emotions with him. But he is imaginative, he is creative, the child ego. And these egos, studies have proven that these egos are present in our mind in different location. The brain ke different location mein these egos are present. Has outgrown the black and white view of life. Life is not black and white. Life is not linear. Life has lot many grays, ups and downs. Life has good and bad. But you can't say it's a mixture of good and bad you have. It's not say absolutely bad and absolutely good. So these quality you will have to develop. Plans things in advance rather than leaving it to the last minute. You all know this. It's a dangerous. Meets emergency with poise. Some emergency comes, an adult will never react impulsively. He will walk with poise. He will wait, understand, and he'll be ready to act. He's sitting but ready to act. That kind of a poise he will have. Realize that one is not the arbiter of universe. Adjust to other people and their conveniences. Adjustment. Any person who is adjusting with all other people, this will be most successful person later on. Control temper. Your temper control. Tolerate reasonable delay. Suppose I am here, I said 5 minutes wait karo. So that reasonable delay I allowed. So you can, I showed my adult quality of being adult. So the reasonable delay you can accept or should accept. Feelings are not easily hurt. Generally, for small thing, he doesn't get hurt. Generally, we get hurt very fast. And we get hurt fast again because of our child ego. Whenever you are getting hurt, you always imagine my child is getting hurt, not me. I am an adult. So I should control my child now. I should control. With my adult ego, I should control my child. Okay, so that you should have this. Does not expect special consideration from anyone. एक कहावत है कि don't expect, you will always be happy. Don't expect anything. Don't expect from your child, don't expect your wife, don't expect anything from your husband. Do your duty. You will always be happy. So don't expect anything. Does not expect special consideration from anyone. Does not worry unduly about things he cannot help. If I cannot help, something is happening, why should I worry about it? So that is the one. Has outgrown jealousy and envy. It's a very important, but it's a very difficult to acquire this knowledge or this skill. Okay, now dimension of transaction. I said the complementary and crossed. Earlier I have already told, when you are interacting with other person, either you are having a complementary or you are having a cross. Complementary, parent ego to parent ego. हम कह रहे हैं अरे हमारे ज़माने में ऐसा होता था, इतना सस्ता था चीज़ें, इतनी सस्ता मिलता था, और उसका भी पेरेंट ईगो कह रहा है हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हो. तो वो जब तब तक वो बात चलती रहेगी, बहुत मज़ा आता रहेगा. जैसे ही आपकी एडल्ट ईगो उसको ऊपर हावी होने लगे, क्या बकवास कर रहे हो, तो कम्युनिकेशन ब्रेक हो जाएगा. तो कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री एंड क्रॉस्ड भी नहीं होना चाहिए. स्ट्रोक्स इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हाट इज द स्ट्रोक्स? ड्यूरिंग एनी कम्युनिकेशन you have to have a stroke. Stroke means you have to compliment, you have to encourage, you have to kind of praise. That is a stroke. Okay? You have a covert communication. Covert communication means something you want to convey, but you are using words indirectly. Indirect word. If you had done this, probably thing would have been better. Okay, that statement is not a direct, something is covert. And when this covert and overt communication happens between two party, listener and that giver, this doesn't work, because then ultimately games happen. You start playing game for each other, and that games will disrupt, and that game can be of first degree, second degree, or third degree. And third degree game, mind you, is very, very dangerous. When you do some kind of a communication indirectly or covert and overt, the thing, your mentee becomes, become mad, can become psychotic, can even commit suicide. So this is the kind of a degree you should not reach to your communication to that degree. Okay? Okay, now coming the non-verbal behavior. When elements of communication, these are the things. कितना time है मेरे पास अभी और? I hope you are not getting bored. Okay. It's okay.
It's 140, sir.
140, okay. Non-verbal behavior. See, whenever I am speaking in front of you, whenever I am speaking, if you are not watching this slide, if you're not looking at me, only 13 or 17% you absorb. That's the say. But when you watch this auditory plus visual, both, and then you watch my language, body, my up and going tones when I'm using, so you will understand it better. Okay? When I'm using volume or rhythm or something like that, anybody like Vajpayee ji was a very good orator, or Modi ji is a good orator. Reason is because they can set their tone up and down and can choose the impulse of the public, and accordingly they speak. So you don't get bored in their this thing. Okay? So body language is more important than the spoken word. It is said that a spoken word will not be heard by the deaf, but the body language can be heard. He will judge everything from your body language, what you are speaking about. So it's a very, very important gesture and expression. It's what kind of a gesture you have while speaking. You are the open end or you are the close end kind of a gesture you have. Like this is my close end gesture and this is my open end gesture. Okay? So open end gesture and closed end gesture. What I am doing, say while I'm doing some scratching or thing, these gestures actually gives you kind of a feeling, or the kind of a feeling your subconscious mind is going through. When my conscious mind is speaking, but my subconscious mind is also working. It is this time. And subconscious mind is telling me something, or I am doing subconsciously, and that is because of the involuntary. It is not a voluntary. It has I have no control on them. It's involuntary happening. I'm shifting my foot from here to here. It's all happening involuntary. I'm not controlling. So this is all from the subconscious mind. If I stand, probably I'll not be able to speak. So I have learnt that I have to do this. Okay. So this is happening. Okay. Next is all these gesture and expression positions. Whatever the positions you are having with you. I mean, you are a teacher. If what kind of a position you are having with you, position means kind of a dress, kind of a beard you have, the kind of a mustaches you have, the kind of a hairstyle you have, all these things affect in your communication. Everything affects, okay? Paralanguage, it's a very dangerous. Paralanguage means आप किस तरह की language use कर रहे हैं. Paralanguage means unparliamentary language or some kind of a very loose talk. If you are using that kind of a paralanguage, it spoils your absolutely image in the mind of mentee. So never use loose talk or never do this in front of this thing. So okay. Listening with the eyes. Have you heard this? Listening with the eyes. You close your eyes. Most of the thing, just you listen, it will not have an impact. But when you listen, see, watch, and then you practice all three skills: kinetic skills, auditory skills, and visual skills. All these three skills combined together, your learning capacity increases manifold. So this is the kind of a magic combining all three skills of communications. Okay. Now reading and responding to major non-verbal signals. What are those non-verbal? I said like close position and open position. When you meet your mentee first time and he's sitting somewhere, if he's sitting cross-legged, he is sitting like close hand like this, so it means he is not about to really reveal himself. He is closed. He doesn't want to talk to you. You are talking to him, but he is not interested. So open him up. First aim will be open him up. And how do you open him up? That's up to you. Okay. Now Position and appliances I have told. Distance and directions. Like you are talking to him, how far he is standing or how far he is sitting from you. And which direction he is looking at. If he is looking at you in direct eye-to-eye contact, so it means he is keen to learn from you, he is keen to listen to you. So eye-to-eye contact is very, very important whenever you are seeing your mentee. If he is not able to make eye-to-eye contact, then you should see something wrong. That person has not opened up. He is still hiding many things within him. So you will have to work on that and open him up. Okay? Touching and self-concept. बार बार वो अपने बाल टच कर रहा है, स्प्रिंकिंग कर रहा है, ये कर रहा है. And this is true, ma'am. I'm telling you, this is true for doctors or students, medical students, when they examine their patients. When they examine their patient, the same skill is required there for communication, how you communicate with your patients. So this is everywhere. I'm talking in the context of mentor-mentee, but this applies everywhere. Okay? Do's and don'ts of to project a better image. At all times, listen to the mentee's non-verbal signals and respond appropriately. Non-verbal signals. Whatever जो मुंह से बोल रहा है, because your conscious mind can always lie. And conscious mind means what are you speaking. But your subconscious mind can never lie. So non-verbal thing is the coming from subconscious. So listen, watch his non-verbal thing. That will give you a good idea. Spoken word should be clear, jargon-free, unhurried and unambiguous. ये तो ठीक है. Voice tones should be friendly. It's not be like high pitch volume or some kind of a low pitch volume, so that he can talk to you or you are listening to him. You are modulating your voice up and low and interacting with him. Gestures and expression should be open and friendly. When you talk with your mentees, your gesture and your posture, expression should be friendly. Okay? Dress, grooming and position should reveal that you are a careful, cultured person and a gentleman and a lady. So that your dressing sense should be absolutely so that it reflects your inner nature. Worthy affiliations to build images in mentee. Okay, okay, I'll now. Skills to become a good communicator. How many skills you need to develop within you so that you become a good communicator? One is the questioning skill. You must develop this questioning skill. Second is listening skill, counseling skill, negotiating skill, and persuasive skill. I will come one by one. What are these skills and how you develop them? One is the questioning skill. I have taken a quote from K. Kipling in the Serving Men. And this I have taken from a journal where it was a communication between a medical student and a patient. And he has quoted to his medical student, he said, I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I know. Their names are what, why, when, how, where, and who. These 6 are a big teacher to a person. He can learn so many things just asking these questions. And asking question is very much required to know the informations, to understand the person whom you are interacting. But how you start this questioning, that's very, very important. It yields, when you say that, often yields vital information. When you interact first time with your mentee, you start interaction in a very soft and very delicate manner to get vital information. Vital information means what is his socio-economic background, what is his cultural background, what kind of a financial support he has, what kind of a parental support he has, what kind of other support he has. This vital information you will ask through questions. And how will you ask these questions is very important. Okay? Helps to control the mentor-mentee process efficiently. Your questioning skill will help. What way you ask question and what question you ask, that will help the relationship. Helps to build rapport and development. Person will reveal everything in front of you only when he or you develop a rapport. Rapport means when he feels the secure, when he feels very much confident about you. He feels this man is my support, this man is my guide, this man is going to take me up. So I can take his help now. I can reveal everything to him. If you cannot instill that kind of a confidence in mentee's mind, mentee will not reveal things. He will not tell anything to you. Okay? Helps to minimize misunderstanding. If you don't communicate, don't ask questions, this will create misunderstanding. And so that to minimize the misunderstanding, you have to talk to and you have to ask questions. Now, how many types of questions are there? Open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, direct questions, and indirect questions. Quote I have taken, the function of genius is not to give new answers, but to pose new questions which time and mediocrity can solve. Wonderful. So what kind of an open-ended question you can have? Open-ended question will always elicit a long answer. How are you? Where all you have been so far? This question. आप और बताइए बिहार में क्या हो रहा है या उत्तरांचल में क्या क्या हो रहा है. These are the open-ended. He has his options. He can answer questions. So you always start questions with the open. Like whenever you take interview and you say something about yourself. First question generally, tell something about yourself. So means this is the open-ended questions you are posing in front of the interviewee, and you are opening him or her so that you know what is the potential of that person is. If he is or she is tight, she is not revealing anything, and you are only asking direct question, he will or she will not do this. Okay? When and how? This will give you an open-ended. Close-ended questions. What's your name? That's a close-ended question. How old are you? Where are you from? These are the close-ended questions. Where are you 26 years old? Yes. So means where you get the answer, very short answer. These are the close-ended questions. And these close-ended questions, sometimes you only ask close-ended, it disrupts your communication. So you should start with the open-ended questions, and gradually in between you can put close-ended questions and reveal the information gradually from your mentee. Okay? Explain the purpose of the question. Whatever you are asking question, you must explain. He will say, why are you asking me this question? So you will have to explain to you. You will say, it's none of your concern. Suppose you say this, you answer, that will disrupt your communication. Okay? So you will have to give the reason for why are you asking. Begin with friendly questions. Ask easy, clearly worded questions. Don't use jargon and other things, okay? To get the mentee open up and ask for her thoughts. What do you think about higher education? What do you think about pursuing education in Subharti? How did you come to know about Subharti? Where did you come to know from Subharti? These are the questions which will open up and will make him confident, okay? Probe in general way about the mentee's problem and then probe into areas of, now you are gradually coming to the mentee's problem. Gradually you probe the problem. What is the problem? You are not getting good sleep these days, I was told. And you are awakening for a long time in hostel. You are awake, I was told. What is the reason? Any problem? Do you have some medical problem or something? Like these questions you can ask and then finally reach to the conclusion. Use mentee's name wherever possible. Don't use, Mr. So-and-so. Use always name. Okay, do not ask too many close-ended questions. I already said, wait until the previous question is fully answered. Don't interrupt in between. If he is answering, let him answer. Let him complete his answer. Then ask second question. Don't interrupt. Okay. Do not make habit of rhetoric questions. वही question बार-बार दूसरे तरीके से, इस तरीके से, उस तरीके से पूछना, वो नहीं पूछिए. Avoid flashy questions. Very वो वाली. Stay away from nosy questions. Nosy questions means very personal questions, very private questions. Don't ask this kind of a question to your mentee. Okay, that too personal. Avoid questions that make mentee feel guilty. Oh, I was told that you are smoking these days. That will make him guilty. Avoid that questions. I was told that you take sometime alcohol. Or how many peg you take every day? If you ask that question, that will make him feel guilty. So avoid those questions. That questions later on, as you develop rapport and other things, you can then solve those problems. Plan your questioning strategy. It's not a questioning is not a very easy job. You will have to plan it. How I ask questions, what will be my questions, how will I frame my questions, what information do I need to take from student. Accordingly, I'll frame my questions. Not just you are asking question without any reason. So another skill is the listening skill. It's when asked question and he is replying, then there is a skill, you have to listen. You understand what is the difference between listening and hearing? आप बताओ, मैं अभी टीचर हूँ, मैं पूछ सकता हूँ स्टूडेंट से क्वेश्चन. आप बताइए, what is the difference between listening and कोई भी आप बताइए किस कोई.
We are listening right now. We are attentive. We are listening to what you are explaining. And if somehow anyone gets a call or there's somebody who's speaking loudly outside, so that would be hearing.
Listening is a active process.
Yes.
Hearing is a passive. Like ये इसकी आवाज आ रही है पंखे की. We are hearing this. है ना? And when I am speaking, you are listening. Okay. So there is a difference between listening and hearing. Okay. When we hear music or we listen music.
We listen.
But generally we say we listen music. Listening is a very active process and it's a kind of a energy consuming. Listening. Hearing is not energy consuming. It gives you a solace. It gives you absolutely pleasure. But I will say we are hearing music. It's not listening music. Listening music is a very active phenomenon. Okay.
We are using the cognition.
Okay. Okay.
So that's
So,
the point. If we are just jogging, we are making work.
Yeah. Okay. When we are hearing that music and we are not listening that, but when we are listening each word of the music and contemplating on that each word, जाने कहाँ गए वो दिन, और वो जाने कहाँ गए दिन, वो जब हम सोचते हैं और वो अपने आप को कंटेम्पलेट करते हैं, तो वो हम लिसन कर रहे हैं और उसमें मज़ा आ रहा है हमको, है ना, सोच रहे हैं. दे दो मेरी जवानी, और कौन सा एक गाना है, लौटा दो मेरी. Okay, so when we listen that, we enjoy that because we are listening that. I'm not wearing that only. Okay, so that's the one. Okay, benefits of listening. It's a rapport building. When you listen and somebody is listening to you very carefully, if I'm saying out of all you, somebody is suppose working on the mobile and somebody is working or somebody is doing something and somebody is doing some body gesture, I will come to know this gentleman or this lady is not listening to me. Okay? I'll come to. So this is rapport building. So that rapport will not develop between us two. Information gathering. This is the type of information. I say the means of by information gathering कैसे करेंगे. Image building. It helps in image building of your. When you listen, you will be told, a fantastic teacher, wonderful person, great human being. You will get this kind of a adjective. Okay, this kind of a thing you will get from when you are listening properly. When you don't listen, is an arrogant person. You know, you don't listen to someone or you don't listen to that, you get that kind of a title. Okay. So obstacles of listening is physical setting. When I am speaking in front of you, or suppose there is a large noise coming or some khatpat ho raha hai, so you will not be able to listen that. So physical setting is also important whenever you are speaking to your mentee. You may choose a room where there's a nice one room, not many people around, and there you are only 10 mentees there, or you can take a one mentee, suppose the mentee needs a special consideration, but that should be out of all these issues, okay? Then comes a bias towards the topic and problem. If you are already biased and you have already made the judgment, that will never help in communication, okay? Because your thought process will revolve around that particular bias, okay? Negative message from mentee. And negative messages come in the form of verbal, or it can come out in the body language, it can come of the non-verbal. If you are observing those negative, so that will you come to know about it, okay? Indifference or boredom, condition of the listener. Okay, now the components of listening, as a physical hearing, that happens through ear. Analyzing, verifying and weighing the information, that happens in your mind. Understanding the meaning, that happens in your mind, and determining an appropriate response, that happens in your mind. Okay, so these are all component of listening. It never happens with hearing. Okay, so listening is very means I can say stressed procedure. It tires you. Okay, so make a commitment to pay attention and listen. For effective listening, you will have to, because your mind will keep getting distracted by various reasons. You will have to make effort to bring your mind to the present situation and listen. Do not interrupt. Whenever you are speaking to your mentee, don't interrupt him in between. Avoid changing the topic midway. When we are speaking about some topic and you suddenly come to the international topic or something, he will understand that he is not interested in my topic, whatever I was discussing. Okay? And then he will, that confidence nikal jayega. Do not handle 2 or 3 activities while listening. Suppose you are listening and at the same time you are writing, or you are watching some newspaper, or you are doing something. Oh, I'm listening, go, keep on going, I'm doing something. He will understand that you are not listening as unnecessary exercise. Okay? You go and meet somebody in the ministry और minister साहब कुछ और काम हाँ भाई ये बताओ वो टेलीफोन पे बात कर रहे हैं और आप अपनी बात कर रहे हैं. It means minister साहब interested नहीं है सुनने में हमारी बात. You get that idea, है ना? So that is one. Use reflective phrases. I see in between. Oh, I see. Oh, I understand. I got it. So this kind of a thing in between you use, that will encourage the person who is speaking. Okay? Develop the following etiquettes of listening. Give 2 to 4 seconds pause between listening and responding. In between, never speak. Give time. Listen first and 2 to 4 seconds time you give and then you speak. Suppress the urge to correct. बीच में मैं बोल रहा हूँ और आप correct करना चाहते हैं मुझे. Sorry for interference. You have already interfered, now you are saying sorry. So, but you have interfered, okay? So that is, you should not, as a gentleman or as this thing, you should not interfere. You first listen, make your opinion, and then say words, okay? Use empathic listening. Empathic listening means put yourself in the shoes of that person whom you are talking. And then you listen. Then you will understand with the feeling. You understand with the sentiments. And then you will really understand the problem the person is undergoing. And then you will find the better solution, rational solution for that problem. It all comes with the good listening. Listen and look for the acceptance signals. Yes, accept. हो रहा है कि नहीं मेरा signal जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Look for those signals. What can be? Nodding, something, eye contact, something like that. You're listening, okay? और बीच बीच में वो वॉच देख रहा है, ये देख रहा है, तो यू नो इट कि ये तो जाने की तैयारी में है, ही इज़ नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, यू डिसरप्ट द कम्युनिकेशन और मेक इट सम अदर टाइम. Okay, so that kind of a thing you have. Counseling is another very important. The ultimate humanistic goal of counseling is to help people recognize and accept their own internal worth. Please remember this. You are not doing anything from the outside. You are only allowing the person to understand the internal worth of his and to integrate their self-image and their learned behavior. उसको इंटीग्रेट करना है फिर whatever he self is उसको इंटीग्रेट कराना है उसके बिहेवियर के साथ में, उसके नॉलेज के साथ में. ओके, तो दैट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. काउंसलिंग हैपन्स एट द टू लेवल. वन इज द फॉर्मल काउंसलिंग, another is non-formal counseling. Formal counseling is cognitive acceptance. That happens at the professional level. Any psychotherapist will do this. Cognitive, you cannot do the cognitive counseling at your level. Okay? Gestalt therapy, I will tell you something like, he says, the German terminology, he says, everybody is in the process of becoming. Becoming what? Superior to others. Okay? And in that process of superior or becoming, he has some irrational aspirations. And in the process of achieving those irrational or unachievable objectives or unachievable goals, he is harboring those aspirations, but his efforts are not meeting those kind of aspiration. So frustration, big gap happens between these. So he says you must bring that student into reality. Bring him to reality. Your aspirations is too high. It is not you are just studying BA and you are not proficient well in subject and you want to become an IAS officer. Okay? You want to become an IAS officer, but you are not studying. You don't have a knowledge, you are not working hard, how will you become an IAS officer? And the moment anywhere he sees an IAS officer, he feels guilty. Oh, my God, I could have become an IAS officer, but he feels guilty. So that kind of a thing should not allow. You should allow that's a therapy is behavior therapy. What about the behavior comes from your prejudged ideas, the impression you have gathered in your mind. Whatever it is, maybe from past life, you have learnt one example, that's Many Master, Many Lives. Have you, anybody read this book, Many Master, Many Lives? The great psychiatrist, yeah ma'am. The psychiatrist who treated a nurse who was afraid of fire, who was scared of fire, and he took her because of hypnopathy. He took her in the past life, 10 lives back, and 10 lives back she realized, she is scared of fire because she was burnt in that fire. And that impression of that life is still persisting in her heart, which she is scared of till today. So you will have to find out what kind of an impression the person has gathered from the past life, from this life, from the previous past and everything. So you will have to see that. Okay? So that is the behavioral therapy you do. Psychoanalytical therapy, this is again the professional do. You don't have to do. Elderian, person-centered and solution-based. Elderian is like ये सोचते हैं कि realization, self-actualization, self-realization is the ultimate goal of human life. Position of the materialist world gives you a lot of misery. So you get into kind of a spirituality. You practice spirituality and you feel happy. Okay? Person-centered, a person has a particular problem. His problem is different. And the psychotherapist or psychologist or a mentor will take that person as a simple study material and will solve his problem by studying how to solve those problems. You have a problem, how to solve those problems by person-centered method. Okay, then solution. You only focused on solution. You are doing something, what is the solution? You don't go into the past, why did it happen? How did it happen? You don't go into that problem. You only focus on solution. Okay, this has happened, now this is the solution. Okay? You don't analyze or you don't do all these kind of digging and then everything, you don't do that. This is another approach, which is, I think, is a good approach. We can do that. Common difficulties in counseling. This is a defense mechanism. The child has a defense mechanism and the child ego is still there, which actually resists whatever counseling you do for a child. Okay? So I told you these are the behavior. Commonly used helpful defenses are rationalizing. Anybody you want to say something, stop this habit, get up early in the morning, he will rationalize. No, not required. Early morning actually makes people something anxious. I let it have a good sleep first and then only there. So these kind of a thing, minimizing, externalization, project. He externalized everything to the outside. I'm not doing it. My friend did it. Because of him, he told me. So that externalization, he puts all blame to the external world. Intellectualization, he is intellectual. He says, no, all these reasons, I will tell you the reason why I do this. And he will give a lot many justification for the intellectualization. Displacement, fantasy is another. Regression, they go back to regression, whatever. And this is particularly happens to those children, those students who are gradually entering into the drug, gradually entering into the smoking, gradually entering into the alcohol. So this, we should realize that these defenses he will use. And how to neutralize these defenses, we must have a strategy for that. And that you can devise those strategies, how to diffuse those things. Okay, skill persuasion is a very, very important. Patience and perseverance have a magical effect before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish. It's a very, very important. Aristotle in 4th century BC said that persuasion comprised of 3 essential elements. And these 3 essential elements are ethics, ethos, logos, that logic, and pathos, that is passion or emotions. These are the 3 things are there, part of that thing. And ethos means it should be ethical. For everything it should be ethical. It has a ethical. It should not have something you are thinking out of the box, but out of the box is become unethical. So ethos is very, very important. Logical, it should be logical, whatever persuasion or whatever you are doing, it should have a logic. And pathos, it should have a passion. Whatever you are doing, you are doing, it should be with passion. Okay, now the prudent practice. Prudent practice means wise, how you become wise and how you do the wise practice in mentor-mentee relationship. Only one who devotes himself to a cause with his whole strength and soul can be a true master. For this reason, a mastery demands all of a person. Albert Einstein. Wonderful. If you want to achieve anything, if you want to transform yourself, if you want to transform others, you will have to take a whole, everything together. Not in the piecemeal, not in this thing. Complete efforts you will have to make. Being prudent is halfway being wise. The ultimate aim of improved mentor-mentee relation is to help and solve mentee's problem prudently. Prudently. That word you must remember. Mentors are needed in order to help students recognize their innate potential. I'm about to finish now, so I'm coming to that. And cultivate career knowledge, provide support to enhance the academic development, including development of research skill and disciplinary identity, professional career development and personal psychological development of graduate student. So you have a big role to play as a mentor, ladies and gentlemen, and that you should really keep developing this skill. Conclusion, we often think of a mentor as a wise and experienced teacher who guides a participant on a journey into a profession or art. But the most important role of a great mentor is building a professional relationship that encourages continuous support, scaffolds a professional identity, and endures. It is vital for mentors to be effective communicators so that they can discuss the individual's personal thoughts, feeling or issues sensitively and convey intended meanings rather than being ambiguous or coming across in a wrong way. Continuous improvement and training are critical to acquiring and reinforcing effective mentoring. Skills requiring evaluation and follow-up for mentors will result in increased satisfaction for both mentor and mentee. I hope I cleared most of the thing. I made my presentation good. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was indeed a very informative and very constructive session, and we all have learned a lot from this session. Today we got the common aspect of mentor-mentee, where we need to work, where we need to implement, how we need to go to make the future of a student, incorporating communication, human interaction, listening skill, counseling skill. We need to club all together and have to focus that our mentors who are having mentees with us, they follow this process and make the future leaders in a very effective and productive way. Thank you very much.